I have always believed that the biggest fish are never the easiest to catch. They are the fish that test your patience, your determination, and sometimes even your confidence. Over the past several days, I had been fishing the Lanxi River from sunrise to sunset, chasing rumors of giant grass carp that lived somewhere beneath these calm waters. I had seen signs of them everywhere. Large bubbles rising from the bottom, massive swirls near the reeds, occasional flashes of enormous tails disappearing into the depths. Yet every time I thought I was getting close, the river found a new way to humble me. This morning was my final chance. When I arrived at the riverbank before sunrise, the world was still wrapped in darkness. The sky was covered with thick clouds and the air felt cool against my skin. There was almost no wind. The river looked calm and peaceful, but I knew better. Beneath that quiet surface, an entirely different world existed. Somewhere out there, something big was moving. I unpacked my gear slowly and carefully. This spot was covered with thick underwater vegetation, so I used the same setup that had worked throughout the trip. The bait would sit just above the grass where feeding carp could easily find it. Every knot was checked twice. Every piece of tackle was inspected. If a giant fish decided to bite today, I didn't want equipment failure to be the reason I lost it. After everything was ready, I made a long cast toward a stretch of water that had looked promising the previous evening. The float settled quietly. Then the waiting began. 5 minutes passed, then 10. River remained silent. I scanned the surface constantly, searching for any clue that fish were nearby. Then I saw it. A cluster of bubbles appeared about 20 feet from my float. Then another. Then another. My pulse immediately quickened. Large bubbles like that don't appear by accident. They are often the calling card of big feeding carp rooting around on the bottom. Whatever was creating them wasn't small. I gripped the rod tighter and focused on the float. A few moments later, it twitched just once, then nothing. A minute passed, another. Tiny movement. The fish was there. I knew it. The float dipped slightly and came back up. Every instinct told me to strike, but experience reminded me to stay patient. Big fish often take their time. The float moved again. This time it slid slowly beneath the surface. I lifted the rod and immediately felt resistance. Fish on, the rod bent over nicely as the fish powered away from the bank. It wasn't huge, but it fought hard enough to make things interesting. After a short battle, I landed a small grass carp. It was healthy and strong, but nowhere near the giant I had come searching for. I released it quickly and cast right back into the same area. The bubbles were still appearing. That was the important part. The feeding activity hadn't stopped. Something bigger was still down there. The next 20 minutes felt endless. Every ripple on the surface made my heart jump. Every movement of the float grabbed my attention. Then suddenly everything changed. The float disappeared. Not slowly, not carefully. It vanished as if someone had reached up from beneath the water and yanked it down. I reacted instantly. The moment I set the hook, the rod slammed downward and the drag began. Screaming, line poured from the reel. The fish surged across the river with unbelievable power. My eyes widened. This was the fish I had been waiting for. The carp charged downstream like a freight train. The rod was bent to its limits as the fish ripped line from the spool. Every powerful run sent vibrations through my arms. The fish wasn't just big, it was incredibly strong. I tried slowing it down, but it seemed determined to go wherever it wanted. Then I noticed something that immediately filled me with dread. The fish was heading directly toward a dense area of weeds and submerged branches. If it reached that cover, the fight would be over. I tightened the drag slightly and applied as much pressure as I safely could. The rod bent deeper. The line stretched tight. The fish continued, charging closer, closer, closer. My heart was pounding so hard I could hear it. For several seconds, neither of us gained any ground. The fish pulled one way, I pulled the other. Everything depended on who made the next mistake. Then suddenly, the fish changed direction. Instead of diving into the weeds, it turned and raced back toward open water. I couldn't help but shout. That single decision may have saved the entire battle. Now the real fight began, minute after minute. The giant carp tested every piece of equipment I had. Every time I gained a few feet of line, it took them back. My arms started aching. My shoulders burned. Sweat rolled down my face despite the cool morning weather. Yet I refused to give up. Slowly, I began gaining control, foot by foot, yard by yard. The fish started coming closer. Then I finally saw it. A huge, dark shape emerged beneath the surface. At first, I thought it was a log. Then the shape moved. My jaw dropped. The fish was enormous. When it surfaced for the first time, water exploded everywhere. Its broad back rolled through the river like a submarine. Even after such a long fight, it still looked powerful enough to continue battling for another hour. Several tense moments later, I guided it toward shallow water. As soon as I got close enough to inspect the hook, my stomach nearly dropped. The hook was barely attached. It was hanging by the smallest piece of skin imaginable. One violent head shake and the fish would have escaped. I couldn't believe how lucky I had. Then after taking a few quick photos, I carefully lowered the giant back into the water. The carp rested beside me for a moment. Then, with one powerful sweep of its tail, it disappeared into the depths. I sat down and smiled. Surely that was the perfect ending. After all the effort, all the early mornings and all the frustration, I had finally landed the fish I came for. But the river wasn't finished with me. About half an hour later, the clouds began to break apart, and sunlight spilled across the water. The entire river seemed to come alive, and right then the float moved again. At first, I thought I was imagining it. Then it plunged. Underwater. I set the hook immediately. The rod doubled over. This fish felt even heavier. The drag screamed louder than before as line disappeared from the reel. The fish bulldozed across the river with incredible strength. Several times I thought I had gained control, only for it to launch into another powerful run. The battle felt endless. Neither of us wanted to surrender. When the fish finally surfaced, I couldn't stop laughing. It was unbelievably fat. Its body looked more like a giant underwater pig than a fish, a true river monster, the biggest and fattest grass carp I had seen during the entire trip. Holding that fish in my arms felt like holding the reward for every difficult moment I had experienced. On the Lanxi River, every failed hook set, every lost fish, every hour spent waiting, every bit of frustration, it all suddenly became worth it. After a few final photographs, I gently released the giant back into the river. The fish remained still for several seconds before slowly swimming away. I watched its shadow disappear into the deep green water until it was completely gone. As the sunlight reflected across the surface and the ripples slowly faded, I sat quietly on the bank and reflected on the journey. The trip was over. The adventure had ended, but the memory would stay with me forever. Because fishing isn't just about catching fish, it's about hope, it's about patience, it's about believing that the next cast could change everything. And sometimes, when determination meets opportunity, that next cast becomes the moment you'll remember for the rest of your life.